season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, and of course, as you know, I'll follow you back. It's been a little bit tough with all these bots. Drop me a message if you're new and you're following me. Hey, Gene, I saw your show or whatever. I'm following you. I'll definitely follow you back. But these bots getting on my nerves. X needs to do something about it. Not raise the prices, but do something else about it. And I am joined by my two esteemed co-hosts, KB, Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett. He's on location in enemy territory, in an undisclosed location. Well, how you doing, man?
It's somewhere in this NFC South, but we don't say where.
Yeah.
By the way,
it's a place that will not be named.
So everyone knows it was just Gene and I, and we thought he told me, Pless is probably just gonna be like later, so I'm just gonna hop on as soon as the intro thing pops on. It's Pless, and I'm like, oh shit!
It's technology magic.
Movie right there. It just got me.
It's technology magic, and of course, the man with the plan, the man with all the knowledge, Michael Pless from Real Bucs Talk. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great, man.
All right, good. So I got you this, Gene. I'll have to mail it to you. You're welcome.
That is awesome.
No, it's great to be back on with you guys and get ready for a big game, divisional game, first of the year. So it's going to be very important. You know, the Buccaneers find a way to win this one. You want to be 3-1 going into that bye week, but you know, right now they're ahead of schedule. I think
yes.
a lot of fans would be happy with 2-1, especially with, you know, given the roster and what they went up against last week against the Eagles, which I thought they fared pretty well. I mean, again, just certain things just didn't go our way.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I'm going to just start out, me personally, I've seen a lot of people talking about our offensive line got destroyed, our defensive line got destroyed, this, blah, 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 bloggity, blah. To me, Baker Mayfield got sacked twice, I think. I know that sacks aren't the end-all, be-all.
If you ask me, but
say what?
He like spun out of 3. I mean, Baker's pocket awareness has been one of the most pleasant surprises that I've seen.
Yeah, I totally agree, and you're right. There could have been more. I think if we had a statue back there under center, I mean, you're looking at more sacks, but he's been able to make plays with his legs. And I'm very excited for, you know, what we're seeing from him. I believe the theme for the Eagles game, in my opinion, was missed opportunities, missed tackles on special teams, losing the field position battle, which nobody really is talking about, how you got the punt prince who's putting the ball down there. All you got to do is make the tackle. And, you know, I'm not going to read too much into it again. Like I said, this game was a measuring stick to see where this young team is in the grand scheme of things, and I thought they fared pretty well. So I'm not going to really get into all the you know, it's week 3. To me, it's week 3, and there's a lot more football to be played. You want to see what this team looks like when everybody's fully healthy, but to me, it was a good learning experience, and you kind of have expectations now on where this team can improve and on what they can improve on. So, Plus, I'm going to start with you. What were your takeaways from the game? If nobody's watched your breakdown, just kind of let everybody know what your takeaways were.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, offensively, it was a game of, you know, missed opportunities. Really, you had execution there, but for whatever reason, we just couldn't make the plays. There was drops. There was, you know, missed throws at times. There was just, you know, some of the process was a little, you know, backwards. I thought they should have thrown the ball more on first down. And then again, you didn't have a lot of opportunities as well because the Eagles were getting a lot of drives where they were sustaining. We couldn't get them off the field when we wanted to. So there were some issues there. But overall, I mean, I think it was a game where just didn't get enough complementary football, like you were talking about, you know, whether it's special teams, defense getting off the field on third down. We had some turnovers that, you know, stalled drives on offense. So it was just a mix of everything. And you got to give your credit to Philadelphia because they're one of the best rosters, you know, in the league right now. So
top to bottom.
Yep.
KB.
Yeah, that's my feedback is, I mean, from a roster building standpoint, the Eagles top to bottom have pretty much everything that you want and need. The Bucs were overmatched in the trenches. The offensive line for the Eagles, minus probably one holding call, like that was missed on the touchdown pass by Jalen Hurts. I mean, there was virtually no pressure. I think the Bucs did okay in short yardage, rush situations against the Eagles, but they basically were able to do what they did against the Vikings, which is just, hey, we're struggling through the air. I think when the Bucs made the adjustment after Dean got hurt to switch to a lot of zone, gave Jalen Hurts a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, they couldn't stop the run. We know Devin got a wonderful interception, but couldn't really do anything about it because of the groin. But it's really hard to win games when you create 2 turnovers, but also give 2 back. But also when you're negative in the turnover department. And I say that the Bucs got 2 turnovers and gave up 2 points from those turnovers. It's very rare to get those turnovers and they turn into points for the other team. I know Canales came out today and gave his feedback, which it's okay. It's good to hear and all, but like when you go jumbo, you bring in Aaron Stinney as a tight end, you bring Raheem Jarrett in as the only wide receiver. Everyone in the world knows that you're running at the 1 yard line. So obviously we want him to grow. I think the Bucs are still in a very good situation. I mean, tonight's game is going to be the Lions and the Packers, 2-2-1 teams. For their division lead, that's going to be the Bucs and the Saints 2-1 or 2-1 for the division lead. Yeah. So if you feel confident about the Lions, you should feel equally as confident about the Bucs, in my opinion. So from that standpoint, I think we're still on schedule. If you told me before the season the Bucs would win 2 games going into the bye week, that's great. They have an opportunity at 3. It looks like Davis might play, Dean won't. But at the end of the day, I think this is a beatable team. And honestly, if there's a game to not have your corners, it's against Jameis. We know, it doesn't matter who's playing DB for the other team. He's going to put that ball somewhere for a defense to take advantage of. And the Bucs have done a good job on defense creating turnovers this year. They're averaging about 2 a game.
Yeah.
Get 2 turnovers against the Saints, and you got a chance. That's all I can really say there.
Yeah. And, just again, one last thing I will speak on this game because I do want to kind of focus more on the Saints. But I was not like upset when this game was over. I know there were a lot of people that were losing their minds and people saying stuff that they really shouldn't say and people in the heat of the moment and just, looking stupid and, some of the things that they've said. But at the end of the day, this is just week 3. And this is how you have to look at it. There's so much more football to be played. And I think that, just the growth that we've seen from this team, because preseason, who expected this team to be, us to even be having this conversation? We didn't know what to expect from Baker. We didn't know, like you mentioned, pocket presence. You didn't really know what to really, to really see. And Vegas is saying Vita Vea may not play. So that injury was.
Yeah, I think it'll be a game time decision, but most likely he's going to suit up. He didn't practice yet, but I don't think he needs practice. I think as long as he's good to go on Sunday, he'll be in there.
Yeah, and there are certain players on that defensive line that do not need to be out there because they are a liability. Yeah. And I've gone back and watched that game again. And I watched the Vikings game again, and there's no way that, number 90 should not be out there starting. He shouldn't be wearing number 90 either, to be honest. But I think that you have to overlook that. And it's important to get him reps. I understand he's young, but I don't think he's really exhibited any kind of play that gets you excited for him in the future, or has he?
Well, I'd say he's flashed, but for every flash, there's 4 or 5 duds. And that, when I say duds, I mean losing. And that's the issue.
He was getting manhandled. He wasn't just losing. He was getting
he gets a lot more double teams than I think a lot of Bucs fans realize, but he's not able to withstand those. From Logan Hall's standpoint, it's great to see that he's getting reps. But it got to a point, I mean, in the short yardage situations, Will Golston was the one who stopped the 3rd and 1 at the goal line, for instance, before the second 4th and 1 push play led to the touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, for obvious, if you want to put Logan Hall in obvious pass rush situations until Kancey comes, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I think expecting him to hold up against the run, especially if one of your or both of your linebackers, but really Devin White, is limited, that's just not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ditto what Ken said, but at the same time, you guys know our channel just wasn't a fan of Logan Hall to begin with. This is what he was in college, and it really hasn't changed, in the NFL. A lot of people looked at the size and the upside of his athleticism, but if you don't know how to use your tools in college, what do you expect for that to change in the NFL when you don't know what you're doing out there? There's too many times where he gets turned around, doesn't know where the football is, and he's just usually in the wrong spot, wrong place most of the time.
And what's interesting, if you go back and look at his splash plays, he's been in the wrong place, and it's like he happened upon a tackle for loss, except for the jersey tackle. Now, the shirt tails, I love that. I think I might steal that, and I think I'm going to steal that shirt tails. Okay, but that was a good tackle. I have not seen a jersey tackle in God, who knows? It's been a long time since I've seen a jersey tackle, but it was good. So I'm not going to knock him for that. That was a good play. Again, drop passes. There were just opportunities for the Bucs to extend drives, and then you don't know what's going to happen after that. But when you're playing against an elite team, you have to bring your A game. And the Bucs they stalled out at times. And I don't know if it's playing on Monday night. I don't know if it's Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like this team, there are times where they just look lost in the sauce. And then they come back the next week, they bounce back. And this is what I was hoping to see early on from this Buccaneers team. How do they handle adversity? Because you have the New Orleans Saints coming up next. And this is the opportunity right now to bounce back from that, put that loss behind you, take away from, whatever film you watch, get better at whatever you do, except for the punt prints. Like I said, the dude is amazing. If we can just, if this team can just kind of pull it all together, I see them winning more games as the season progresses.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about the punt prints right now. Well, Zion playing starting cornerback, for instance, is causing a lot of those punting return issues to come up. And I'm really nervous about facing Rashid Shaheed on Sunday. He just returned one recently to the house. He's pretty good. He runs. I mean, from a punt return standpoint, you have to worry about him the same way that you did with formerly known as Deontay Harris. I think they're both dangerous back there. So Camarda is going to have to play that game of, if we're backed up, he's got to boot it, sure. But I mean,
do you hang it? Do you try to get more hang time? Is that? I mean, you guys could probably tell me better. Instead of like booming it and getting it all the way down the field, do you hang it up there so that you know that your coverage can get to the play? Or what is the strategy when you're kicking against somebody with such a lethal punt kick returner?
But it's also different based off your situation. You're not booming it if you're at your own 40-yard line, for instance. Right. You normally boom it when you're really backed up. Camarda has the leg to do it. We've even seen returners when we're backed up having to run backwards in order to catch a punt. One at the 5-yard line, which is a punt returner, you're literally taught to not touch a ball inside the 5. Mm-hmm. So Camarda's a weapon, but the Bucs, sorry, Keith Armstrong, you had a great 2 weeks there, but against the really good teams and the really good rosters who have good special teams depth, it's not going to fly. Again, teams like the Eagles, the 49ers, you have to win at least 2 of the 3 main phases of the game between offense, defense, and special teams. And I just think special teams against a good quality team is going to be a negative for us. So our offense and defense have to, clean up the mess there.
Yeah, I would just tell Kamara to kick it out of bounds. If you can.
Though it's not as easy as I think many people realize.
Right. No, it's not. Directional punting is very tough. I think you at best you try to kick it towards the sideline and try to aim it towards one of your gunners to maybe get an advantage there. But like Ken said, I mean, not having Zion McCollum on special teams, that's a big loss, because when you look at the first 2 weeks, or even the first week, he was dominating on special teams.
He was arguably as valuable as Kamara's punts himself.
Yeah. So I mean, he was always the first one down there making the tackles in Minnesota. And then, obviously week 2 comes, he has to flip to a starting role, and now back-to-back weeks starting. Now you're asking of guys like Derek Pitts and others who are just not as experienced.
He's hurt too. So
yeah, Derek Pitts probably out for this game, and then you're relying on Josh Hayes to really be your number one guy. And then they might have to get some other guys out there. Maybe you go to a Keyshawn Vaughn, maybe go to
Hakeem Jarrett, someone.
Yeah, someone's
playing.
Yeah, someone's going to have to step up in that role. But yeah, that'll be looking at this game, looking against the Saints, that's definitely a priority. I think you have to be smart with it and make sure you're not letting this guy get, big returns. At least keep it under 10 yards if you can. Because field position is going to be huge in this game. I think you have 2 really good defenses on both sides. Offenses are kind of finding their way, especially with the Bucs offense trying to figure things out, especially with the run game not being productive. It's going to be tough. So, and then, the Saints with Jameis Winston in there, you got to play it. You got to play it smart and make sure you find ways, like Ken said, to, force turnovers, and hopefully that will help the offense this week.
Is this something where if you're New Orleans, you have to lean on your running game with a Jameis Winston out there? I mean,
this is why you got Alvin Kamara, baby. What is he? He's a buck killer, man. Like James, they already learned last year, you can't put that game in Jameis's hand. Granted, we don't have Tom Brady anymore. I'm really happy that Baker threw the pick last week. I think Aikman and Buck jinxed him. They talked about how many possessions or throws he made without an interception. I'm happy he got that out of his play in that game when the rain was coming down. I going into a dome now, I really think he's really good right now of protecting that ball. And this is coming from me, mind you. I trust Baker with the ball in his hand. That he missed that Devin Tompkins throw, which I thought Canales drew up. Devin Tompkins, I didn't like how many targets he got, but that first shot was a beautiful play call, just a little bit of an overshot, a little bit high for Mike. Yeah. Other than that and the interception, other than those 3 passes, I thought Baker had a really phenomenal game.
Against a serious defense.
I'm impressed against that defensive line. Mm-hmm. The Eagles are bringing 4. Eagles aren't blitzing you.
Yeah.
And when you have a 6-foot-tall quarterback, you can't really see, man. So he was yes, and I think the one throw was he was a late read. Rain just started pouring down right as that drive began. I'm willing to give him a break there. But other than that, I think his pocket presence is what gives me the most encouragement in terms of our success, because that's going to allow him to get outside the pocket. And I think that was one adjustment that was a little bit too late by Canales, was doing some play action waggles, getting Baker out on the perimeter away from the pocket, at least mix it up every now and then. I didn't like his comments that we're going to be a little bit, headstrong, and we're just going to continue to try to run the ball. I want him to dictate his play calls based on what the game situation is. When you're down, 10 points going into the half and the Eagles go down and make a 17-point lead, your first instinct shouldn't be, I need to establish the run again on my first drive of the third quarter. I just hope he's saying that, and I hope he doesn't do that, because I think, again, it's nothing against Rachaad White. This offensive line just does so much better in pass protection. I really don't like trying to run. And again, they went from mid-zone to duo. Like, why are you trying to run duo against Jordan Davis and all of these ridiculous defensive tackles? No one's getting to a linebacker against them. So why are you running duo? And we already know duo doesn't work. Duo didn't work last year or the year before or the year before or the year before. Let's just stop duo. You want to run zone? Let's run more zone. You want to run power? Let's run power. When they motioned Kate Otten to go up the middle on a pseudo power play, they got 4 yards. That's all our running game needs to do. Get 4 yards. With Shadway, I think he tried to, finesse himself into extra yards. Sean Tucker, same way. You can't go anywhere against that defense if you're just going to wiggle at the line of scrimmage.
I'm going to say this. I think that Dave Canales will learn from this. He's open to stuff, and he's admitted, that when the issue's been him, and we haven't seen that in offensive coordinator in a long time. Somebody that will, say, hey, I shouldn't have done this, and he's still learning the NFL. And I know these aren't excuses. It's still early in the season. If we're talking about this week 11, week 12, then you're like, okay, what's this guy doing? But I think he's learning his way, and he has to continue to lean on the rest of his coaching staff to really help him to just to progress, I guess is what I want to say. But I don't think we'll see somebody that's going to be stuck in his ways like we did last year, where somebody's going to continue to run the same play regardless of whatever they're seeing in front of them. I think that in listening to him early in the season, well, actually before the season started, you kind of hope that this would be the guy that makes adjustments. And this is one of those things that I hope he can learn from this and he can make adjustments.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think even with the lack of success from the run game, you look at the opportunities that they did have, and there could have been at least 14 more points on the board if there wasn't 100%. For drops.
2 turnovers. Imagine if they just got 7 off turnovers. That's a 9-point swing.
Right. Well, they the first drive, let's look at the first drive. Okay. So they came out, they ran it twice in a row. They get it to 3rd and 3. They convert to Chris Godwin. Then that first play on 1st and 10, they do a great job of play action with a crosser that's wide open. Probably could have been a touchdown if it's put on him. Like if you make that play, that's 7-0 right there to start off the game. It's beautiful.
Ball game.
Then you can play your style of game that you want to play. You control the clock, you control everything. But even with that miss, okay, they come back, they run it for 2 yards. Okay, you set up 3rd and 8. You have the 3rd and 8, Mike drops it. Now I understand, okay, it could have been a little bit better place, but still, ball hits your hands, you got to catch that. That's a rule here at RBT. Like if it hits your hands, you can make the play.
It's both of them. If it hits both of them, you can't.
Right. Yeah. If it was one hand, sure, okay, blame it on Baker. But this was both hands. Mike usually makes that play. He's supposed to be your elite receiver. This is why you game plan to him. So again, it was another great 3rd down play by Canales, and the offense just dropped it. Then you go, further down. Okay, they come out and they pass it on 1st down twice in a row, one to Kate Otten and then one to Mike Evans. Then it kind of just sputters from there because you have a run play that goes backwards, and then end up not getting 3rd and 7. Later on, you get a great drive. You have Mike Evans in the end zone again, drops the ball, doesn't attack the football like you're supposed to. You probably should have just stopped and caught it. Like there's no reason to back up into the end zone, let that guy come in and make the play on the football. So those little things, like right there, Kate Otten drops a perfect screen pass that could have maybe been a touchdown as well. So you combination
legitimately 15 yards and 3 blockers in front of him.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, how many yards do you think the Bucs left on the field? Just a rough estimate.
It
was quite a bit. I mean,
about 20. Thompson's about 40. Evans's touchdown is 20. The other drop is 10.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. These are big plays. Mm-hmm. And we're not even talking about the drive extending plays that, we don't know what happens after that, but at least you've got 4 more downs to do something else with the ball rather than, okay, the play's over. You got to kick the ball, whatever. Again, I feel like they didn't take advantage of the opportunities, and, the Bucs get 1 touchdown and much less 2. We're not even having this conversation right now.
Yeah, it could be different. And, minus those things I just talked about, there was other drives where, again, it goes back to the 1st down runs. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow on Real Bucs Talk with a, run and pass analysis as far as when should we be running the ball and when should we be throwing? I think it's got to be flipped right now because there's just too many runs on first down. You're wasting downs to get to third down, basically, and it's not a good recipe for success. So there was other plays where they had runs set up, but every time someone messed it up, like, you know,
on the one, Cody Mock trips over his own feet.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason why the safety happened. I mean, it's not, again, we all knew it was a run, but it's a perfect, I think, what did Josh Capo say in our group chat? It was basically like, it's just like our JC Allen's podcast. We'll shout that out at some point. But Josh Capo yesterday on JC's podcast was literally just like, it's a microcosm of like disaster, one person, every single play. It's like someone just messes up.
Yeah. It's like, you know, the Sean Tucker run where it's 1st and 10, they set it up beautifully. And of course he can't make a guy miss. And that's what it comes down to. It's like, if they get the perfect blocks, like hat on hat, the running back usually just can't make that guy miss. And that's a problem there. Or it's, you know, one of the two, whether it's, you know, Robert Hainsey getting blown up, or it's, you know, Kate Otten not finishing his block, or it's one of the
pass.
Yeah. So basically my point is they need to throw the ball more on first down, because right now first down passes are working. You're getting more yards on first down. It's letting yourself set up second and short where it's more feasible to run the football. If you're set up with 2nd and 5 and you want to run the football, okay, go ahead and do it. You know, I think that's what they have to get mindset into. Understand that 11 personnel and spreading these teams out are going to be for your benefit. You look at the best run of the night for the Bucs. It was on a 1st and 10 after throwing the ball twice on 1st and 10 to Mike Evans, no less. He comes down with a one-handed catch. And then your next play is a handoff on a counter, Rashad White to the right, and it's wide open. You get 12 yards. It's executed perfectly out of spread formation. Again, they tried every different type of concept running the football, but it just didn't work. And that's something that, you know, I hope they try to continue to run the football, but at the right times. You just can't force the first down runs as much.
I also hope they become a master of something rather than just trying everything during a game. Like, even if you told me they gained 3 yards every single run on power,
just
run power.
Yeah.
And also we love play action, obviously, in Tampa. It worked for the past couple of years, but we never did it. Now we do it a little bit more. It's a lot easier to run play action on 2nd and 4 than it is 1st and 10. So again, what Pless is saying, you don't need anything major. Most defenses on first down are playing one version of cover 3 or cover 2, or cover 4 off your receiver. So from that standpoint, you got the space, take the yards. Where's the last time we've seen a slant, really? Like, we saw Mike Evans all preseason was like, Mike's running slants. Mike, where's the Mike Evans slant? Chris Godwin, why aren't we devising any, Chris Godwin's getting like the most important third down plays. Chris Godwin can live on first down too. I want to see Chris Godwin getting 5 or 6 targets and 5 catches every single game, basically.
And I guess that kind of leads me to my next point. I had higher expectations for Chris Godwin being involved a little bit more with this offense, and we just haven't seen it. And I'm not saying this, and I'm saying this as a fan. I'm not, not as an analyst or nothing like that. I'm just trying to understand, why don't you game plan a weapon like a Chris Godwin in there? I mean, that's going to open up for. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think they have, to a degree. I mean, against the Bears, he probably should have had 2 touchdowns, but it didn't happen. This week's game, I thought they would have went to him more. I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Godwin game. No offense to Mike, I thought this was the Chris Godwin game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that, and I think, again, it just goes back to what you're calling, on first down, and again, if certain things happen where they do catch those footballs, there's opportunities more for Chris Godwin to, get more plays. But at the same time, again, it wasn't enough. You only had 40 something plays. Now, again, that's not an excuse, because you got to take advantage of what you're given. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't. But it's on to a new week, new defense against the Saints. And I think the matchups will be interesting to see how they utilize man beaters, because they're going to face a lot of man coverage. How do they utilize their backs and tight ends? I think it's going to be important. But yeah, finding ways to, get Chris Godwin on one-on-one and let him, take over, because I think he can against Alante Taylor, who will probably be the starter this week with Paulson Adebo probably out. And then you look on the flip side, not having a fully healthy offensive line for the Saints. I think that will bode well for the defense, to a degree.
That's why this game I'm not too worried about Vita Vea if he doesn't play. Cesar Ruiz out. They already have a struggling left tackle right now, and Trevor Penning. Like, the Saints' offensive line is not looking good. But again, it's Alvin Kamara in space, which is why, again, I think Vita Vea, if he doesn't play, it's not as concerning as, if he didn't play against like the Eagles, for instance, like where they're going to run downhill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fascinating matchup on both sides. Yeah. Because you would think New Orleans would have the advantage of the wide receivers against our defensive backs right now. But watching our adjustments, and then both Zion and D Delaney stepping up, that's at least going to make it interesting. And we know Jameis can make anything happen.
Yeah. And again, I go back to what I was saying, just kind of watching him last week. I still question his ability to read defenses consistently.
Well, he got him in position for the potential game-winning field goal. So, I mean, you have to give him some credit, but that's also coaching malpractice. Bucs fans know this very well. Shout out Matt Gay, made 4 50-pluses a week ago. Highest paid kicker in the NFL. But what did the Bucs do? Trust a rookie kicker to make a chip shot. And that's what the New Orleans Saints kicker didn't do. So, again, it's really details, because, again, details just get even 3 points off those 2 turnovers. That's a 5-point swing. Mike doesn't drop that touchdown. That's another 4-point swing. Next thing you know, you lose by 14 and you're only down 5. So there's ample opportunities there, which
100%.
I don't think the Bucs, the defense especially, if I was grading them A to F, they were a solid B for me. Yes, though you can nitpick the run defense, but that is literally the most physical, healthy, most dominant offensive line, especially in the run game in the NFL. And we're hurt.
Yeah.
They did okay. In my eyes. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, they did a great job of scheming up runs. I mean, they had the perfect play call for 3rd and 7, and they just run it to the right. It was a perfect lineup because they had a right guard on Devin White and just took him out of the play. And it's like, you can't really defend that. And then, a lot of their runs were just, just hat on hat. And they're one of the best at just moving people. And that's what they did. My boy, Landon Dickerson, I wish he was I wish he was a Buck still, but it is what it is. He's a beast now. And then they just have, still Jason Kelsey, who is, one of the best, even though Greg Gaines made him look like a fool on one play, which was awesome. We'll have that video up tomorrow, but they're just beasts. I mean, Lane Johnson is tackle 1.
-1, the hold on the touchdown pass. Other than that, Lane Johnson, if you want to grade on 0 to 100, had a 99.9 grading.
Yeah. I mean, they're the best. I mean, Mailata just dominant in the run game, beast in pass protection. I mean, they're across the board. They're the greatest line.
But they're going to do that to everyone, though. And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize is that's just again, whenever we've seen it 2 games in a row now for them, when all else failed, they're trying to do all these creative things that didn't work. It's like, okay, well, now we're just going to go to our bread and butter. That's just it. That's our game plan. You just got beat us there. And they're 2-0 when playing that game plan. And hats off to them, because they are, in my opinion, the 2nd or 3rd most talented overall roster in the NFL.
How would you rank yours 1 to 5?
1 to 5. As far as
ranking.
What?
I mean, as far as like what you were talking about, KB, as far as the most talented offense.
No, it's just a team. I mean,
team. team overall, I look at the Eagles as probably the best team in the NFL right now. I think I would put
roster-wise, top to bottom, yes.
Top to bottom, yeah.
I still think coaching matters. I think they're in very much the same place we are. I mean, they have the new offensive and defensive coordinators. Don't forget that. The offensive coordinator, I think, has just struggled a little bit more because I think they're trying to run the old stuff. But if Pless makes a cookbook and he gives it to me, I have the recipe. Especially if we're talking about baking here, and I guarantee you, my cookies aren't going to come out as good as Pless's. That's just, again, we saw with Byron and BA. Like, you can give Byron a very successful offense for a decade plus in the NFL, and it not translate.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're wanting to talk to the manager after you eat that.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But yeah, I mean.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, just from last week, I mean, Eagles are just in a different tier and the Bucs are just not there yet. I mean, maybe they continue to make strides as we get towards the end of the year. And maybe they are one of the better teams in the NFC, but we just don't know because right now it's an offense that needs, in progress. And frankly, we just don't have all the pieces, roster depth wise, all that stuff right now. But still, if they scheme it right and guys are in position and they're relatively healthy, this team can compete with anyone. I think I truly believe that.
Well, remember, they lost 30 plus points to the 49ers last year.
Yes.
We're going to play them again this year. But I think the Eagles this early on, I think is not necessarily a measuring stick. I think it sets the right expectation of what this team is at this moment of time. And again, I'm pretty less optimistic than you two, but I've seen so many good things. Yes, there's bad in there, sure, but there's enough good things that are stacking on each other where, again, I don't think it's going to be necessarily post-2020 by what we're going to see.
Right.
What I think we're going to see is a team who's going to find a better vision of what their identity is. And I think that's going to allow them to not necessarily beat the Eagles and the 49ers of the world, but allow them to compete with them for 4 quarters versus, 2.5, which is basically what we saw on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm gonna jump in here real quick because I know that the running game has been getting a lot of slander for the past 3 weeks. And I'm just gonna say this. When you look at the running backs that the Bucs have, and the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. And it's not like when Ronald Jones was here. You guys know I loved Ronald Jones back in the day. You got guys that can actually catch the ball and move upfield, speed and space. You see that. And I just feel like, there just haven't been a lot of opportunities. I know that a lot of running backs make opportunities, but I believe that you're looking at a running back in, White that this is basically his rookie year. He was playing behind Leonard Fournette last year. So, I mean, he's getting all the reps right now. And I think you just kind of have to be patient and see what you have after maybe week 6, And, if you're still feeling the same way. Again, some people catch on quicker than others. I just, I look back on it and I think that, he can be a contributor to this team just based on what we've seen from him, the flashes. That's, again, a player that has flashed more times than not. He just has to put it all together. And I still think that, he needs more time to put it all together. So this was a season that a lot of people didn't pick the Bucs to even be contending for a playoff position. But yet here we are. You hear whispers about, possible playoffs. And the Bucs just have to go game by game and put complete games together and just kind of build that up. And, they're, at the end of the season, hey, we're talking about playoffs. So I think it's possible. And I haven't given up on this running game. I haven't given up on this offensive line or defense. It's just a work in progress. And I like what I saw against an elite top to bottom team. And I feel like the Bucs just have to go in and cut down on the mistakes and execute better. And they're in a lot of these games.
Well, inexperience is our running back room right now. I mean, Chase Edmonds is the veteran. He's hurt. You got Rashad, who basically probably has about half a season's worth of work under his belt now, really, at this point.
Exactly.
And then you have Sean Tucker, who's a stone cold rookie who barely, got through, didn't do any types of OTAs, just did camp. Like, so he's still getting the flow, getting the juice, understanding what the physicality is like in the NFL and the small details of when a play is run perfectly, you have to make that one guy miss. That's huge. Because I think weak is just like the wrong word, because again, they're trying so many different things in the run game that it's going to produce inconsistent results. And I think a common theme that we're trying, like especially Pless has been trying to lay out to everyone, is if you pass to set up the run, it's going to allow you to be a little bit. Keyshawn Vaughn has less experience than Rashad Wright at this point. So from that point, again, use the pass to set up the run. And remember, what are the Bucs spending the most money on than pretty much any team in the NFL on right now?
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's your talent. That's where you're dedicating all of these resources. Allow them to help these other positions progress in our offense, which is going to give them more space. Because like Pless said, you throw it twice in a row on first down, you get first downs. Then you run a first down and 10 run, you get like 6 yards. Yep. And that's like, or maybe 10. I don't even remember, but it was the best run of the night. That it's setting yourself up for success, but you also have to mix in other things too. Sure. But if you have a recipe for success and you start building your game plan around that's going, and I think Canales has that in him. It's just going to be very hard against these teams because, again, he's like, we came in, we had this game plan, and basically they smacked us in the mouth is essentially what it was. And then you have to deviate from there versus if you have an identity, you kind of, you believe in yourself, you stick to it, but underneath without those false pretenses.
And what's interesting about what you're saying, last year when Byron Leftwich was past, I'm sorry. And this is the new and improved Gene who's gotten away from the profanity and I've changed my ways. And I'm sorry, I just kind of backslid, but I'm back to the new and improved Gene. But I want to kind of get back to Lord Byron here. When Lord Byron was passing on first down, it was successful. It just was. And, we all pointed this out, but he still kind of went back to what he did. This is one of those things that I hope Dave Canales can mix all this up and come with a mixed bag. And the key here is keeping the defense on their heels or keeping them guessing to where they don't know, hey, we're going to pin our ears back and this is what we're going for. And we kind of saw that a little bit in the Eagles game. And we need him to be a little bit more, I want to say inconsistent, I guess, or just switching the plays up a little bit more and, making it so that, you have your defense on their heels.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, and Kid made great points about the running game. Again, you have inexperienced backfield. You have an offensive line that is still meshing together. You have 4 new starters up there. You have guys at different positions, even though Tristan Wirfs plays like a god. Doesn't matter what, where he is. He could probably play center for us. And
I bet he could.
He'd probably be all pro. But again, left tackle money. Yeah, he's going to get easily 150 mil probably,
How much would you have to pay him if he ended up being a successful center?
I think he's the guy you set the market with. And I'm normally not a big fan of that. But I think he's the guy that you do it with. Like, I don't think Antoine Winfield's going to be the highest paid safety in the NFL, but Tristan Wirfs has a better argument than I think he has a better argument than Andrew Thomas. I think he has a better argument than Christian Darrisaw. Like all these young tackles that are coming up.
Yeah, he's the best one.
Maybe if you don't go full Laramie Tunsil, because I forgot that went like, 10% above, market. Typically that was
straight up overreach right there.
But from that standpoint, he's the guy that if you don't set the market with, you pay him whatever he's worth, which is literally a blank check, whatever he's willing to basically accept, that you don't completely cripple your organization because you don't know what's really going to see at quarterback.
Right.
Yeah. And Wirfs is already on track for Hall of Fame. So, I mean, he's gonna get a lot of money. But with what I was saying, the offense just meshing together with new offensive line. You have an inexperienced tight end room as well. K. Dotton. A lot of people are expecting a lot from him. Again, only second-year player. Keefe is still learning how to run routes and catch footballs and do all these different things. Block.
I think the tight ends had a worse game than our offensive line did.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they played a lot better against the Bears, but then you go to the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's like, yeah, they just weren't as good. Cade missed quite a few blocks. Dropped a ball. Again,
O'Keefe got overmatched a bunch.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Again, so those things, have to improve, and that kind of projects to next year where they're probably going to invest in a tight end, I think. But again, that's a different pod. But but the offense, I think it is a great week going up against the Saints. I think it's a good week for them to come out sharp and fast, and that's something that they're going to have to do, because they got to put it together defensively. I think is going to be good enough this week, but offensively, you got to play that complementary football where you utilize your Mike and Chris Godwin to set up the run game and score points. They got to put it together this week going into the bye and have something strong to go off of and look at the first 4 weeks where, okay, this is what we see and this is where we can build our identity, like Ken was saying.
If there's a game to go into your bag, it's this one.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if the Bucs lose, it's seriously not the end of the world every week.
No.
But it is a division game.
But if you steal an away division game against the Saints,
that's huge.
Falcons, for instance, like that's ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the Saints are already 1-0 in the division. The Falcons are they 1-0? Yeah, 1-0. They haven't played twice.
They
beat up on the Panthers, and the Panthers are obviously 0-2.
Right.
So you steal one from each of them, you go 2-0 against one of them, you're winning the division. So that's why it's like, hey, just steal one. But if you don't, it's okay. You just got to win. Now the one at home is now must win, but steal one. That's the goal. Just steal one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, what they do with like the man. Like I said, you're going to face a lot of man coverage this week. So what type of man beaters are we going to see? I think that's going to be really exciting.
It's advantage us though.
It really is, because I think you're, and this is something I hope we see.
Trey Palmer out.
Yeah. Trey Palmer definitely is going to be.
Trey, keep going, Plus.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we are going to see more motion. We're going to see more pre-snap motion this week, trying to get guys isolated. Mike and Chris, working together, pick plays, all those things are going to be part of it to create separation.
So go ahead, KB.
I'll give Canales and the offensive staff the first shot to Devin Tompkins. Where the fuck was Trey Palmer? I'm sorry. No, that's unacceptable.
Language.
I don't care.
It's fine.
It's fine. For me, that can't happen. I'm sorry. That just can't happen.
Yeah, I think Trey Palmer was the guy that was running the other crosser, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually took the attention. He took the other safety with him.
But where was he on the field? I mean, Devin was in there a lot of 3 wide receiver sets with Evans and Godwin.
I see what you mean.
They have a third cornerback that was struggling because the Bucs did target that corner multiple times. In fact, he got hurt from how many tackles he had to make during the game. And they had to bring in their 4th string corner in order to get outside corner, at least because Bradbury's playing the slot. So that's what they had to do to adjust. And I think that whenever you face man coverage, or especially in a third to medium to long, Trey Palmer, I'm sorry, Devin Tompkins needs to be on the field. If you want to be the Scotty Miller, you come in, twice a quarter, like to at least be or present a shot play. Sure. Devin Tompkins can have that role. But I think if you're running 3 wide receiver sets, 9 times out of 10, Trey Palmer needs to be out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
Yeah, 100%. This is a guy that he won that position that he has, and I feel like they really need to utilize him a little bit more.
Separates better and is better at the catch point. And what is Chris and Mike's probably biggest flaws is separating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good guy you can throw a 50-50 one-on-one ball to and at least have some confidence, especially with Mike and Chris getting all the attention. Cade Otton, if he continues running those seams like that his first catch like that makes him a weapon, and I think that opens up our offense. But Trey Palmer can open up the seams himself as well in the slot, or even take an overhang safety on the outside. I think he is that good enough and also that fast enough. So it's just I understand the Tompkins appeal for certain plays, but from a down to down standpoint, I'm sorry, Trey Palmer needs to be out there. And I'm not even saying that from a fantasy standpoint. I think his
productions from a production standpoint.
Well, Devin Tompkins and Trey Palmer literally competed against each other this preseason, and who won? So why play the guy who didn't win the role? Unless he's hurt and we don't know about it. I haven't seen him
and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Is he 100% healthy?
Or are they doing the Jahmyr Gibbs? We don't want to throw too much on the kid too early. But after watching him this preseason, some of which against either starters or key players on second team, actual backups in the NFL, he showed out against them.
So again, we have to, we just have to hope that they are able to make adjustments. This is going to be a key game for me, strictly because I want to see how the offense and defense alike bounce back from this game against the Eagles. And they're playing against a division rival. So are you able to get up for this game? Is this a game where you get up for? You're going into the bye week after this. So it's a key game. This is a huge game to be honest.
What did the Saints do? They dropped a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter last week.
Just like the Atlanta Falcons.
They're going to come and smack you in the mouth. I'm sorry, Luka Decky's had a decent start to his actual season. But Cam Jordan, I'm sorry, I know Tristan Wirfs is his daddy, all right, but he's still in that 47-3 game, whatever we had against the Saints a couple of years ago. Cam Jordan had his way.
Yeah.
And it's just hey, Luka Decky, I think this is going to be if the Eagles weren't a wake-up call, a pissed-off Cam Jordan, I think is someone you don't want to mess with, and I think we have to be able to, again, execute, do the small things. Offensive line, you can't just have one of you just decide to not show up each play. It's just play as a team, be able to get some turnovers, be able to execute and at least get 3. I don't care if you don't get 7. Get 3 on a turnover is a huge momentum swing than giving 2 points to the other team. You have to be – I'm talking about a full game perspective there. It's just you have to do those small details. You have to steal some possessions, steal some points, put them in bad situations where they are backed up and have to punt, for instance. Yeah. When you do punt, try to bunt from the 45 instead of the 20. It's those types of details, because we know, again, you give the Saints an inch, that's sometimes against the Bucs all they need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they get up for the Bucs games now that there is this unspoken rivalry. I know that Saints fans, we don't have a rivalry with you. We have a rivalry with Atlanta. What the hell ever. There's a rivalry here. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it seems like when Jameis Winston got to Tampa, up until now, the Saints have been getting wound up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just have. And, they come out and they trash talk and they say this and they say this, but they do get wound up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they do get up for these games. So Tampa's got to be ready. And again, this is a huge game. This is a division game. This is a chance for the Buccaneers to, get a little bit of a lead out there and, kind of move forward.
Yeah, I think, my keys to the game as far as offense goes, like I said earlier, you got to start fast. You got to throw the ball on first down, and you got to score in the red zone. I think those are my 3 keys. And then defensively, I think you got to put all stops on the run game. You got to come out and just make sure you force them to pass. And I know with their receivers, they're probably going to try to do that anyways, but you can't let Alvin Kamara slash and dice you.
Mhm.
You can't let Taysom Hill come in here and get runs when you know what he's going to do. He's running the football.
There, they when the game was on the line and Jameis got them in territory, the first play that they did was Taysom Hill. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And he does the same thing every time. So you better gear up to just stop him when he comes in the game, and he's going to run the football. So gear up and stop that.
Madden age 8. That's the Taysom Hill play. You have just 3 people just back, the 8 of you. You better be coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's got to be the keys for defense. Stop the run, force Jameis to pass as many times as you want him to, because at the end of the day, he's going to make mistakes. He, like Gene said, he can't read defenses. His pocket presence is poor. There's going to be opportunities for pick passes. So that's what you have to do. You got to play. I would play zone pretty much all day, maybe mix up some man coverages, but keep everything in front of you and play smart defense, and you'll get some turnovers. And then special teams, just don't let the guy return it all the way for a touchdown. That's pretty much it.
I really believe, and Pless, thank you for that. I really believe that the Bucs can get a lead. This is a detriment to Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston will try to put the game on his shoulders to win it all.
Literally happened last year. That's when he threw the pick 6 to Dean.
Yep.
And
we were only up
too.
We were only up by 3, and he started going.
Game. We all knew it was game as soon as he threw it, because we know now he really is going to press.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one was what he threw a beautiful ball to Olave, and Olave fumbled it, and we recovered, and that's basically what sealed it.
Well, Jamel Dean took it away from him.
Well, that's what I think Olave fell to the ground, and then if I remember correctly, maybe I'm wrong, I'll go look that up. But yeah, I mean, I think that what the past 2 quarterbacks the Bucs have played, what they really struggle with is disguised coverage and zone. At Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts. We know what Jameis is capable of when you play zone.
Yeah.
So again, if Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean aren't able to play, I think Carlton's going to play. I don't think Jamel is. But this is the perfect week to play zone, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if Jameis Winston goes 5 for 5 for 50 yards on 4 of them slants to Mike Thomas. Yeah. I'm not even concerned.
Yeah,
because it's all one throw away from everything just catapulting for them. All momentum, all the yard. If you want to bet over on Jameis's yards, I think that's a great bet. But what I would also, if you want to double down on that bet, I'd bet on an interception or fumble of some. At least one is going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. And real quick, I just want to point out Zion McCollum and Christian Izien playing really, really good football so far this year. I'm really proud of McCollum, really proud of Izien being an undrafted free agent, that he's pretty much taken over the nickel position and hasn't made that a worry at all. He's played really good. And I agree with Ken. I think
his name. He doesn't know Bucs players' names not named Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to know this kid's name because he's playing great.
Thanks, Cristiano.
Yeah, Rutgers. But then Zion McCollum is playing really stout as well. And I think playing zone coverage actually benefits the Bucs, especially if D. Delaney is going to be in there in addition to Carlton Davis. I think that would be awesome. Maybe you just play man with Carlton and let him man up Mike Thomas.
Just put Michael Thomas and Carlton Davis against each other, and
everyone else. Zone.
It's the box and one defense.
Yeah.
Let Olave get his, sure, but again, let them get yards. Let them get yards.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is how tiny Olave is. I wonder how much punishment do you take against Antoine Winfield Jr. and you know, just there have been times where he doesn't get down and he's taking hits, and man, it just doesn't make for a long career just dealing with that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with Zion, if Zion's matched up against Olave, I think they can probably do maybe some press, but also mix in your zone coverage and just keep Olave in front of you. I think that's the
exactly. Let him run the Mike Evans game. Let him just run those stops. That's fine.
Yeah,
Jameis lull him to sleep.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, don't let him get by you. Don't fall for the double moves, and make sure you have a safety over the top with Zion, and then Carlton if he needs to man up with Mike in the slot or whatever, go ahead and do it. But with Izzy, and I'm so impressed with him. I think his ability to take away at least one receiver, whether he's playing man or zone coverage, the way he passes off players in zone is a thing of beauty. So yeah, really excited to see how they utilize those guys. And then obviously the safeties in the box, Ryan Neal, Devin White, Levante David, they're going to have to be strong tackling. We can't allow Kamara to break free.
Again, the more we make Jameis do, the less Kamara can do.
Yeah, this is true. I do want to point this out. Levante David has played stellar this year. I know his name hasn't been solid. His name hasn't been dropped a lot, but just what he's done, the intangibles that he brings. He's been a few plays away from forcing another turnover, but Levante David's just been playing amazing. I've kind of gone back and watched some of his games, keyed in on him, and he's just been incredible. You would never guess that. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's getting older," but you would never guess that if you looked at his play in the first 3 games of the season.
Key player Ryan Neal going to be doing a lot of Alvin Kamara stuff. So especially in the pass game, that's where I see. I think he took a step forward last week. I think he struggled the first 2 weeks. Last week, I think he took a good, solid step forward. And I'm excited to see him and Levante are going to do a lot of work against Kamara. That's where I think the more we can put the ball in Jameis's hands is Jameis can throw for 400 yards and no touchdowns. If he does that, we lose. That's fine. I can live with that. We just know what the odds of that look like.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think, another key real quick, just to look for, can Devin White run in this game? If he can run, if he's fairly healthy and can run, I think there's a good point where he can just be sent in on a lot of blitzes downhill, get after Jameis, run him to attack Kamara. I think that will be important. So that will be something to look for, and we'll see if some of these other guys can get in there. Vita Vea, I expect him to go, and then Jamel Dean probably going to be out. But overall, I think it's a good week to get things on track. The key to this game, like it is every week, is going to be the offense. If the offense can be sharp and be smart with the football,
it's a game. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Score in the red zone, get touchdowns when you can. That's going to be important. They got to put up at least 24 to 27 points this week. I think they can do it.
All right. Well, I do want to ask this question before we roll out. Who is your who do you expect to be the standout player on this Bucs team, whether it's offense or defense? And KB, I'm going to start with you. Who are you looking for that you can just say, man, this is going to be that standout player, in this Bucs game?
Logan Hall. No, I'm just kidding. If there's a Shaq game to have a Shaq game, it's against Trevor Penning. If you remember, that's Jameis's blind side. Jameis, who has an opportunity to hold the ball long. Yeah. So that's who I'm really keying in on. Because I'm just gonna be honest, if Shaq Barrett's not beating Trevor Penning, that's really discouraging for his long-term outlook for not only this season but next season as well, since we reworked his contract. So that's I think Baker is really the one to watch, because I think there's going to be ample opportunities. He's going to be having the opportunity, whether it be the Devin Tompkins shot play or the Mike Evans curl routes. He's going to have yards to have. Will he be able to? The Saints generally play a very physical game. Is he going to be able to, get away from sacks? I think he's really the guy to watch. But I think Shaq Barrett, if the Bucs are going to win this game, it's that strip sack. Again, whatever we can do to create turnovers is going to be a huge difference. And he's got the biggest mismatch on both sides of the field, in my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with what Ken said there. I think Shaq Barrett's going to be very important, especially going up against Trevor Penning. JTS as well, for that matter, if they want to switch, because again, JTS usually, they rotate. Ryan Ramczyk, obviously a little bit better right tackle than, Trevor Penning. So they got to exploit that matchup. But the guy I'm looking for that needs to have a clean, crisp game is going to be Baker. Baker Mayfield's got to play sharp. He's got to lead this offense, and the guys around him, I think, need to help him out, but we need Baker to hit those plays that are there. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. He's got to make those plays when the opportunities present. He's got to make sure he hits them, and especially the explosive plays. We got to make sure we nail those and get into red zone and score the football.
This is his make money game. Everyone talking about Mike Evans dropped his bag last week. This is Baker Mayfield's opportunity, because if he goes into the bye with a stellar game at the whatever they call it now, dome, the Caesars Dome,
the dump dome.
If he has a really good, impressive game there, the Bucs have to, like, they're at least, I mean, I think right now he's still probably at least the short-term vision, but that's how you secure that 3-year contract, is winning games like this. It's not necessarily the Eagles game. We saw Kirk Cousins made a lot of the money, and he didn't win the Eagles game. It's winning the Saints. The Saints game for this organization is the one that he needs to do. And again, if he doesn't, you know, we'll see what his progress is after the bye. But if he comes out and plays like he did the first 2 weeks, really, because I know a lot of people said the first game wasn't very good. Yeah, the start wasn't very good, but after the adjustments were made, it was elite.
Yeah, he played well.
So from that standpoint, if you take that last quarter and a half and then the entire second week against the Bears, if you throw that into this game for 4 quarters, Bucs fans are going to love him. His agent's going to knock at Jason Light's door and saying, hey, you want to talk extensions? Like that, this is his opportunity. The great Eminem. You have a one shot, one opportunity. It's not the Bucs season isn't this week, but it's Baker's opportunity to put himself on. Think of what if they talk about us, if they do talk about us on all these, you know, sports shows that casual people watch, everyone knows how. I can tell you, everyone's picking against us because they're just looking. Oh, in the past 4 years, even with Tom Brady, they struggled against the Saints. They only won the one playoff game and one regular season game. So with Baker Mayfield, they must lose. Like that. That's literally going to be the narrative. And this is his opportunity to shut down the Bucs narrative and create his own Bucs quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I think if he wins this game and wins it because of, like Pless is saying, because he's making the right reads, because he's getting his shot plays, because he's turning 3s into 7s. If he does that, I don't know how the organization, you can't be like, oh shit, okay, not only do we have to play Winfield and worse, and probably White, well, it's like shit. Well, now we have to find a way to bring Mayfield back if that's the type of game he's going to have this week in a very large division game.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it's got to be JTS. We need to consistently see healthy doses of JTS. I really believe that this guy, I know a lot of people have written him off already. I think he's a talent. I think that he can help this team win. And between JTS and I want to mention Dave Canales. I feel like Dave Canales can bounce back from that game against an elite defense, and learn from his mistakes, put his players in a position to win, call games that will play to his players' strengths. As we heard him talk about at the beginning of the season, he's a guy that I've really got my eye on. What is he going to do? How is he gonna respond? And you guys mentioned Baker Mayfield as well. How are these guys going to respond for this team? And not so much, the team, but because as a team goes, it's how their quarterback goes. And we've seen that. How does Baker respond from playing against the Eagles and not coming out with the win? How does he come back from that? And I think him and Dave Canales working together, I think that, they have an opportunity to silence a lot of critics as well this early in the season. And this leads to positive projections as the season progresses.
No Derek Carr. I mean, this is, again, no Drew Brees. I don't want to hear
this is the opportunity right now.
Even Trevor Siemian. What's Jameis's record against the Bucs?
Not good.
0-1. Yeah. That's your narrative.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big week for Baker Mayfield and just the offense in whole. I think they understand that last week was not good. They pretty much laid a goose egg, and I think this week they're gonna rise up and play not necessarily like dominant, but I just feel like they'll do their job and take care of the little things. And that's if they do that, then they'll be fine. Again, we're not asking for these guys to come out and throw 60-yard bombs every play. It's just, can you do the little things where you're executing on first down, doing stuff to set you up for good situations? And I see that happening this week against the Saints, against a defense that obviously when watching against the Packers, Packers had a lot of opportunities to move the football and they didn't. So, well, they did in the second half, but
can we not address whatever's on the screen right now?
No, we won't.
Does it? Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Again, every Thursday, we're trying to do this. I think it's working out for everybody to be able to be on Thursdays to do this. And somebody earlier in the chat had asked, how are we announcing this? And guys, and I'm sorry I can't announce this a little bit sooner, but I'm kind of at the mercy of my guys here. If they're available, if they're not like on another podcast or on another stream or working or working out of state or something like that, then I can get them on and we will have a show. I'll have a show regardless, but these are the guys that I really enjoy working with. I've worked with KB and I've worked with Pless for quite a long time now, and we have a really good rapport, I guess we say. So yeah, I really like working with them. So I'll do my best to let you guys know. And Pless comes on. For those of you that are on Real Bucs Talk, this is Buck What You Heard. And on Thursdays, this is the show where I try to get everybody on. If I could get you guys to like and subscribe, if you're and vice versa, if you're on Buck What You Heard and you're not subscribed to Real Bucs Talk, please go do that right now. I have so much respect for that show and everything that they've done. And, these guys are great. And I think we have a great show. We have a great conversation, about football. And we're not jumping out the window. We're not, bad mouthing that, what happened against an elite team. But, just logically talking this through is, what we try to do. So if you get a chance, Real Bucs Talk on Twitter. And on YouTube, it's the Real Bucs Talk. Go look for them. Go ahead and like and subscribe at Buck What You Heard on Twitter or Buck What You Heard here on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Haven't been doing this too much, but I do want to kind of get to 1,000,000 this year. It's kind of been a personal mission. I normally, I'm horrible because I'm a lazy bum. I haven't been pushing it like, like and subscribe I'm sure I could have been to 1,000 a long time ago, but this year, taking a little bit more serious, and hopefully people will kind of get on board with me. And if you enjoy the content, I really appreciate it. I want to start with Pless. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and on Twitter or what you have going on or just whatever.
Yeah, and thank you for the kind words, Gene. It's always a pleasure coming on here talking football with you and also Ken. Ken and I, we talk a bunch on Twitter, as you can see.
Yeah, I do.
In our group chat, we're always going.
Gene learned the hard way.
So
I get ignored in the group chat.
That group chat is awesome, though. I'm not.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yes, it is. It's a great group of people. But yeah, check out our stuff at Real Bucs Talk. My co-host Mark Ramirez and I do. We just try to show the why, and we try to show why things are happening. There's always a reason. It's not just a box score. There's more to this game than just the stats. Even though stats help you identify maybe what's going to happen, but it's all about the players and what they're doing and how they're being utilized. So all that goes into it. And we try to get out a lot of film studies this year. That's been our goal. So that's been pretty much the content for RBT. And, we have a live stream Mondays, 9:15, if you want to check it out. But yeah, I'll pretty much be on here at Buck What You Heard when I can for Thursdays, 7 o'clock start. So be sure to tune into that and subscribe to both channels because it's a lot of fun. And if you're a Bucs fan, I hope you guys appreciate all that we're putting out there. and we appreciate all the support that you guys give us.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. KB, my man, the man making all the money, the millionaire. KB millionaire.
I feel left out with all these subscription talks. Maybe y'all are going to convince me to do something. But no, y'all know where to find me. If you want to find me, play Where's Waldo. I'm in a Ritz-Carlton somewhere. I'll let you figure that out.
Yeah, that's a very nice hotel room. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll take it.
So do you get like
it looks nice.
Do you get like the free breakfast in the morning?
No, that's how you know you're not at a nice place, is because there is no free breakfast in the morning. There's just a really nice restaurant downstairs.
Boo. Boo. Okay, I'm going to give them like 1 star for just because there's no continental breakfast there. I'm going to go ahead and give them a thumbs down, 2 thumbs down, and a 1 star. Wherever I can go. I'm probably on Yelp or something. I'll find out a way to do this. But for me, guys, thank you so much. Everybody from Real Bucs Talk that's come over, listen to the show. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the football knowledge. And we have guys that go from one show to the other. G Vegas, for example. Mr. Everything's Bucs, Bud Cannibals. Guys that just love the Bucs. Corey Hall. I have talked with Corey Hall before. I can't remember where. I think I may have been going back and forth with him on Real Bucs Talk. But real good football mind. Just so many different Bucs fans that aren't caught up with the hype, and they can see the game for what it is. And I appreciate you guys. I really do. And you're not like jumping out the window and doom and gloom for the rest of the season and stuff like that. It's great to have listeners that come in and they get it. They understand the game. They understand, where we are in the grand scheme of the NFL season. So I really appreciate you guys. I really do. And I can't stress it enough. If I could get you guys on again, or, once you guys come on, I'll make sure your chats are out there. And again, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I can't believe we've been on here an hour and 15 minutes. It's crazy. But I'll let you guys get back to your night. And that's pretty much it for me. And peace out, guys. Take it easy. Buck what you heard.